Hey, welcome to this episode of Coffee with John series. What are you good at? I do with Jeff Gunsberg. Jeff, great to see you as always. Excited to have our guest on today, Mike Todasco. This series is called What Are You Good At? One of the things you're great at, great at, is AI. You were the head of innovation at PayPal for close to 11 years. You're now a visiting fellow at San Diego State University, teaching AI. So I'm going to kick us off.
Let's do it.
It seems to me, and we talk every few months. So it seemed last time we talked, or the last couple of times we've talked, Claude was being delivered to the world. Claude Code, Claude Coworker, and everybody was excited. Oh my God, you can build anything you want. I don't know if now that we have access to it, if everybody who thought they could build actually knows how to actually build. And so I want to kind of start talking about that, because I think there's a lot of fear in that, right? Hey, you can build anything and get rid of 25%. I'm making that number up of your sales force. Well, most people don't know how to even prompt and ask it a question. And so where is the world today when it comes to do-it-yourselfers?
Look, and of course, thanks for having me. First of all, I'm glad to be here, John, Jeff, with you both. Look, I think where we're at today, and to time boxes, this is in mid-July of 2026 for people watching the future, because this changes so fast that, in a few weeks, what I'm saying now is probably going to be out of date. But like where we're at today is that the models are just better than they've ever been. If you are an engineer who has expertise in this space, you have superpowers. You can do whatever you want. If you're a novice, there is still a higher level of intimidation that comes through using Claude Code, Codex, any of these tools that will let you run software on your own. This is something that the model companies are very conscious of. I just was, for the weekend, flew out to Chicago, was spending a bunch of time in the San Jose airport on the way back and on the way there. And all I saw in the airport were signs for Codex, which is, OpenAI's harness, like everywhere. Like they're trying to push these to the normies, but like it's not quite there yet. So if you know how to work with these tools, you can do amazing things. It's still a little bit to get started in it. It's not as easy as typing into a chat window as ChatGPT was. And of course, ChatGPT was not a revolution at all. Yeah. It just took GPT-3 and made it a little bit easier for all of us normal folks. And that's the same kind of thing we're seeing right now. So I'd say we're still a few months away from doing what you described, John, but it's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. You talk about, on your page, you talk about AI being, in the realm of trillions, where it can go and where it will go. Like, how do you see that developing for people? So the quote unquote normies kind of get it and like where it is now and then where it's going and where it ends up.
Yeah. And to be clear, when I say normie, I include myself in that group. Like I'm not an engineer by training. I mean, I was an accountant to start my career. So like I very much, when I say normie, it's not disparaging.
About you. I mean,
I started GE's financial management program. I was doing debits and credits in my very first job. So I'm as normie as normies get. I was just always a little bit weird, I think. So wait, what was the question, Jeff? Hold on a second. Sorry, I totally got sidetracked there. Totally.
Yes. So like so
technical difficulties on his end, but I think kind of like I'm going to ask it in my way. Where is
where's this going?
Like, right. How does a normal person actually kind of get started? Like, what are the first steps? Because, my brother is a techie, much more than I, and he knows how to use it really well. And when he describes things for me, and I just listened to like a 15-minute thing on social media, on LinkedIn, and it was very difficult to understand. And this was like a baseline.
Yeah. So look, the first thing I always tell people is like you literally, and I'm doing a bunch of sessions this week with companies and university on frankly with their staffers and things like that as they're preparing over summer. Just like how do you use these tools?
Yeah.
And one of the first things I tell people is just ask it, how do I use you? Literally say, hey, Claude Code, hey, ChatGPT, I don't know what the hell you are. I don't know what you're even good for. This is what I do. This is what I'm having problems with. Help me out here. And like, that is like how I would start this. Like, I always tell people, and look, and I teach at a university, but I tell people like, you don't need to go to school to learn AI. You don't need to spend $500 on some influencer class, blah, 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 or whatever else. Like the best way, and this is the first time we've ever had a technology like this, the best way to know how to use these tools is just to use them and to ask them, how do I use you? Like that's where the value is really going to come in. So whatever, and I tell most people just start with like personal things. Like for me, I got myself.
Wait, can I pause you for a second because that seems so obvious, right? So it's like if I hire an executive assistant and I don't know how to use an executive assistant, it's a human being, I may say, how can I best utilize you? You have with all these executives, how can I best utilize? But you put a computer in front of you, you put Claude. I guess I don't think many people think to say to Claude or Claude Code or Claude coworker, how do I use you? Talk to me like I'm a kindergartner. Take me to step one.
And I think the majority of people in the business world don't even think about that at all.
I mean, because we've been trained not to. If you type in Microsoft Word, how do I use you? It is going to show on the screen, how do I use you? And it's going to be like, okay, well, what the hell did that do for me? That did absolutely nothing. If you did that in Google, it's going to just give a whole bunch of search results for how do I use you. But if you actually do that into Claude or ChatGPT, it'll actually say, okay, it'll start doing something. It'll say you can do this and this. And that's the thing that we're just not used to. For people coming up, my kids, things like that, this is going to be second nature for them because they're always going to have this type of an interface where they can just ask these simple, basic questions and get answers from it. But like for the rest of us, we have to learn a new tool. Frankly, we've been trained away from doing it the easy way. I mean, ideally, our entire careers, we would have had something where you don't know how to use it. You just ask the program itself. You couldn't do that. Like now you can. Like if you literally don't know how to use an AI program, you just talk to the AI program and say, I don't know, this doesn't make sense. You're telling me to do this. Here's a screenshot. I don't even see that in you. Like, here's the screen. What should I do? What should I do? I mean, and that's the kind of things that this unleashes.
So kids nowadays are utilizing AI, and my understanding of AI is that I have a knowledge base and I utilize that AI to enhance that, right? I think a lot of people now are using it to create instead of having that full understanding in the beginning, and they're making something that they don't understand. So I think there's a real difference between the two, and I'm wondering what you're seeing in regards to that. To simplify, it would be, I know nothing about this and I'm using AI to create something, or I, have a real knowledge base for it and I'm using that to enhance what I know.
So what I would say is I think people just need to be conscious. It's a great question, Jeff, and it's something that we all need to just be conscious of where do we want, like all the time we rely on people where we don't know anything about something and they will help us out with that. That's why we hire accountants. That's why we hire lawyers and all this other kind of stuff. It's like, well, I trust you, go ahead and do that. And look, I'm not saying you should blindly trust the AI. Like there's things you could do. We could talk about that as well. But look, I do things anytime I get an agreement now, a contract of any sort, I put that into Claude and I say, is there anything unusual in here? It's terms of, for making an angel investment. I'm like, hey, does anything look off in this thing? Like, I could hire a lawyer to do that. I don't know what the hell is in there. I'm trusting Claude in these situations. Frankly, it would have been things before I would have just blindly said, yeah, okay. I mean, like, you could set up Claude today so that every time you accept a terms of service on a website, you actually know what you're doing instead of just blindly clicking that. So, I mean, we do that all the time. The choice for us to make is, where do we want to be strategic versus where do we want to hand over our thinking to the Borg? And for me, reading legal documents, that's fine. Let the AI do that work. Because if I was rich enough to have a full-time lawyer to look at every time I click on a website and say, are these terms of service not giving away any of my children? I would totally do that. But for the vast majority of us, all of us on this call, everybody listening, we don't have that. So It's great to have an AI do something like that. But other things, like, I write a lot. Do I want the AI to do my writing? No, because for me, writing is how I learn. It's how I think. It's how I communicate and so forth. And to just hand that over is something I don't consciously want to do. So, Jeff, to answer your original question, we just all got to be strategic with, okay, let's use it for this. Let's not use it for this. And it's going to be a little bit of a different decision for each of us.
Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah, you talk about, prompting it and asking it to help you. Some studies show that 70% of people struggle with asking for help. That in the workspace, employees sometimes can waste 3.5 hours per week because they want to figure things out and they won't ask for help. I wonder if that translates in asking AI, like AI models like Claude and Chat, for help, right? Like, help me understand, how do I use you? Talk to me like I'm a kindergartner. Walk me through step by step. Do you think there's a connection there? And if so, how do people get over it?
Yeah, I think people are going to actually be more open with asking an AI for help than they are a human being. I think there's less shame, less guilt that they would have.
Oh, then you're frozen, Mike. You're
asking too much, asking for help before you actually stop to think through something yourself.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things where we do need to be conscious. And look, people probably do that with Google today. It's like, well, I could think through this versus whatever. Occasionally my kids do this. We have a Google Home in our kitchen, and they're asking some math something or other. And I was like, you could have done that in your head. Come on.
Yeah.
So I was like, did you really need to ask for that one? Like, you got that one.
Right.
These are things we need to decide. And again, it's going to be a different decision for each of us for this. The thing I push for is, like, I just don't want to live in if folks have seen the Pixar movie WALL-E, I don't want to live in a WALL-E-like future where we're basically all just sitting fat and happy, leaning back, drinking soda through a straw, and watching things 24/7 while the AIs do all the thinking and all the work for us while we are just consumers.
Yeah.
Happy life has a certain amount of struggle in it. And I think we're just entering a future where we might need to insert more of that struggle in it ourselves.
But at the same time, if you're utilizing this in a way where it is thinking for you, does that become a problem? I don't really know the answer yet, and I don't think anyone does. But my main feeling is that I really love the tools that allow you to utilize your current knowledge base and then enhance yourself, like I was saying, versus just creating to create because you don't have the answer. So I think we're going to have a different set of problems that occur that we don't really even know yet exactly. Right?
Yeah. Look, I mean, I think, entering a thing like GPS into our world has made us all much worse at getting from point A to point B.
Right.
I mean, that is something that is like proven. They have done studies on this. Like our wayfinding and navigation abilities are actually worse because we have relied on these things. And so we've effectively offloaded that thinking part of our brain to these, 30 some satellites that are revolving around the earth, and God forbid they go down. Like, what do we do next with that? So again, I think it's similar here. Like we just need to decide what it is in our lives individually. We're okay with saying, I'm going to use it, because AI can be such a great teacher. Like, I was asking about some quantum computing stuff the other day. I don't know crap about quantum computing. I actually, when I was doing innovation at PayPal, there were a couple months where I was supposed to do some quantum computing stuff. I literally just sat there confused for like 60 days. I could not understand what was going on. And to use AI as a tool to be able to ask it questions again and again and again, to have it meet you where you are, as John said in the beginning, like, talk to me like a kindergartner, and then I'm going to go up to second grade and so forth. Like, it can really help with that. Look, I'm going to Japan in a couple weeks, and I would never disparage somebody from saying, well, you don't need to ever learn Japanese because you could just use Google Translate to do that. There is something special about that, about learning that process. And frankly, AI can be such a great language teacher, especially with some of the voice modes. ChatGPT released a new voice mode last week, and I just seen what some people are doing with language on that. It's incredible. But, someone else could look at it and say, well, you're never actually going to need that. Right. But to me, all this is a good thing, because it's just giving us choice. And we just need to be conscious of what are the things we want for ourselves versus what are the things that we're willing to offload for ourselves. And we need to keep some things that kept us human, that and all that. But it will let us be more of what we are. We'll learn Japanese faster if that's something we want to do.
I think the intent, what you're talking about, and consciously learning things like that, like in your case, learning some Japanese before you go to Japan. I find myself wanting to use my brain in different ways. I picked up chess in December, and my brother and my cousins and our grandfather was a master bridge player. So we're starting to play bridge, which is such like an old person's game, but it gets my brain thinking in kind of in ways that I wanted to think.
You're an old person now, anyway.
I am, right. But I find that it's my brain is craving that learning, but I didn't know it actually was craving it until I started it. And so what responsibility, like what, in your case, learning Japanese, like where do people need to, kind of, intentionally use their brain in ways so it doesn't become mush?
Yeah, I mean, and look, I would say this is maybe in the first prompt that you give the AI. Like, if you're starting with Claude or starting with ChatGPT or whatever it might be, I would literally even say, like, hey, this is a concern of mine. I have a concern by using you that my brain is going to turn to mush, and I pride myself in knowing about X, Y, and Z. This is part of my identity. I want to maintain that. So when you are answering me questions, I want you to, or when I ask you something, I want you to ask me questions back in a Socratic method.
Right.
I don't want you to give me the answers. I want you to do this. Or for these categories, I want you to do this. And this is the great customization that you can have with these tools. They can work however you want.
I just want to fill one word. Instead of mush, what I meant to say was to make sure that I can always, my brain is always growing its critical thinking, because I think that's a skill set that people need for the now and in the future.
I don't think it was a bad terminology at all whatsoever. And it's kind of crazy that, what we're talking about right now and what Mike is saying is that, you're utilizing this product, and before you use the product, you want to make sure that your brain's not turning to mush, let's say. But you ask the product how not to have that happen. Right?
Yeah,
right?
That's right, John.
Like, it's kind of, it's kind of very interesting as you look at the whole global, platform of what that looks like.
Yeah.
And it will tell you. Chat will tell you anything. Claude will tell you anything that you ask. But it's interesting the way you ask it, it changes the answer.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
playing around with that. And then you also can go further in depth and, for your golf game, just in particular, right? Like on Claude, you can set up this whole profile, this whole platform of how you play, what your handicap is, and, a million different specifics about that. And then you ask Claude a question after you've entered all that data. And then you say, I'm playing here. What do you think for me in my game I should do?
Yep.
And then it will tell you based on all the information that you entered, of how you play, where you're at, what your game's like, and this is the best way for you to play this course.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, it's really kind of it's changed the game in analytics. I would say.
Yeah, and I love that. I've actually never heard the golf example. I'm not a golfer, but I could.
It's a great example.
There's so much data out there about all these courses. You put in all this stuff, it's going to be able to customize it for you. It totally makes sense. I love that example.
And then it researches that course and all the information that everyone's put in about it. It's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. And just one pro tip to give people straight up, and I feel I'm always shocked not enough people use it. There's something called custom instructions that's inside of every one of these things. And this is where literally you give it sort of a master prompt that you don't have to type in every time.
Right.
That says yada, all this stuff. So my actual very first thing in every one of my master prompts is, you are my AI assistant. You are not a human being. And then I kind of go on from there and describe more, because one of the things I never want to do is I don't want to be friends with this thing. I mean, I want to know that this is a tool, and this is a tool for me, and it's not there to be sycophantic with me. And so I kind of continue that. I tell it I want it to kind of call me out when I'm being wrong about stuff and all this other kind of stuff. You customize that for how it is. You don't just take it right out of the box. You make it work for you exactly. And I think that's been the one common theme that I hope people take away from that is to go in custom instructions, even just say, hey, if I want this and this, how would I set up my custom instructions? And they'll help you, and then use that for all of the different tools that you might use out there.
And I think that you understanding that AI, the use is really personalized to you. It's about you and what you like and how you want to see things, and you can make it be what you want.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I've asked AI in different platforms the same question numerous times, like I was saying, and I get a different answer based on the way I asked the question.
Yeah.
And so it's really interesting to go through that process and really understand what are the things that I say that make it answer this way, and then you can change that however you want.
One of the things I always tell people is it's mathematical, it's not magical. So even if you put the exact same prompt into the exact same model and did that 10 times, you're going to get a different answer every time. I mean, so that's another thing for people to know. It's not like if you just said, hey, what's the closest Thai restaurant to me? And you put that into Google, it's always going to give you the same results. If you do it within an AI, it's going to have a little bit of wiggle in there and all that. And it's just because of how mathematically these things are created. And it's important for people to know that.
I love that. That's a good thing to end on. Mathematical, not magical. Right. And, and if you don't know what to do, ask the model on what to do. And if you
it's an equation, just an equation.
Ask it to rewind it and younger it down for you. I think it's great. All right, a quick 1 minute speed round, Mike. You ready?
Do it.
A recent book that made an impact.
Oh God. I actually am reading Poor Charlie's Almanac right now. Huge book. It's great. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner in crime at Berkshire,
Yeah.
passed away recently. It's a huge book. It's a bunch of his speeches. Reading that at night before bed. It's great.
Oh, good. That sounds like it would be a great
A lot
book.
of inspiration, a lot of wisdom.
And
Amazing. What would you tell a kid going to in college currently plans to go to law school? What do you think he would say? It's very specific.
That sounds very personal. Yeah.
It's selfish. It's a selfish question.
What would I just make sure you follow passion?
In regards to AI, somebody's going into law school, and what would you tell them now?
Know the tools, use the tools, understand, play with Harvey. I'm sure they have student subscriptions to Harvey and stuff like that. I mean, that's what most law firms are using out there. Use that, know the tools, understand the tools, but honestly, do something that you're excited about, because this is going to enable that. Like, that's going to be a competitive advantage. If you actually care about your job, if you care about whatever it is that you're doing, you will find ways to use these tools in more unique ways. I know so many people that don't want to sleep anymore because they're so excited that they can do so much more now than they ever could have before.
Cool.
Last question, Mike, and it's kind of goes with Jeff's question.
It's a doozy.
One thing everybody can do to make sure that they're always growing the skill set of their critical thinking is?
One thing they could always do, I got a good one for you. I just off the top of my head. Tell the AI to occasionally lie to you. So basically say, hey, ChatGPT, I want you some of the time to actually get 25% of the time. I want you to give me something that's just completely wrong.
Yeah.
In there, that will keep you on your toes, believe it or not. So that will make you ask further questions. And you could also say, hey, after I ask you, is this a lie? You have to tell me and then give me the right answer. Like, if you want something to keep you on your toes and always thinking critically, that is going to be the one little hack to do. I've never tried it myself, but if somebody does it, send me an email. I would love to find out how it works.
Tell everybody where to connect with you, Mike, if they want to connect with you.
Todasco.com is my website. Mike Todasco on LinkedIn, and just Mike Todasco at Gmail. If people want to send me an email, I'm more than happy to respond to anybody who's listening to this.
Your writings, your AI, all of the stuff that the content that you're putting out has been great for many years. You've been doing a lot of it. You've been on this podcast a ton of times. We've been talking about AI for a while, ever since I think chat came out, frankly. Appreciate your continued insights. You'll come back again, I hope.
Of course.
I think the through line of everything we've always talked about is AI isn't going anywhere. You need to learn how to use it. You need to learn how to communicate with it and learn how to prompt it. So, Mike, appreciate you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Mike, so much for being on.
If anybody needs title work, reach out to Jeff Gunsberg.
You know it. Business coach to extraordinaire, John Dwoskin.
All right. Thanks.
He's mine. Use him.
Appreciate everybody. Thanks.
Yep.